In this video, we'll be going over using z-scores to answer a word problem. So at this time, please pause the video and take a moment to read the problem. Once you've read through the problem, you'll see we're dealing with a red candy heart factory that produces 50,000 hearts a day with a mean of 300 grams per bag and a standard deviation of 8 grams. Now their quality control says they'll reject anything that weighs more than 312 or less than 290. So we want to know how many packages of those 50,000 will be rejected by quality control. So to do that, we're going to need the z-score for each of these values to start. So we'd be using our z-score formula. So we'll start off with our lower bound, which is that 290 grams. So for 290 grams, I put that in for x, subtract off my 300, divide by my standard deviation. So that gives me a negative 10 over 8, or a negative 1.25. I'm then going to find the z-score for my upper bound, which is my 312 grams. So I'm going to take my 312 and plug that in for x, and once again divide by my standard deviation. So that's going to give me 12 divided by 8 for a z-score of 1.5. Now, if I want to find out what percentage or how many packages are going to be rejected, I need to know the percentages that correspond to my two z-scores. So I'm first going to need to look up my negative 1.25 in a z-score table. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I bring up my negative z-score table, and I need to find negative 1.2, and I also need to find that 0.05. Tracing down the 0.05 column and across the negative 1.2 column, I see I get a value here of 0.1056. So I'm going to need to use that. So for 290 grams, I'm talking about 0.1056. Okay? Now for 312 grams, I need to look up a positive z-score. So I'll go to my positive z-score table. And again, I need to locate 1.5. So there's 1.5. And it's 1.50 since there was nothing after that. So I'll be using this column of my z-score table. Trace down that column. Trace across. I see 0.9332. So here I've got 0.9332. So these give me the upper and lower bounds for the packages that I can keep and the ones that I have to reject. So I know that 10.56% or 0.1056 will be below 290 grams. So I need to figure that number out first. So I'll take my 50,000 and multiply by my 0.1056. If I do that, I'll get a value of 5,280. I then need to take the 50,000 and multiply by the percentage that's above 93.32. So if I take 1 and subtract off that 0.9332, I can see that I would need to multiply by 0.0668, which will give me another value, and that value is 3,340. So if I want to know how many packages are going to be rejected, I need to add up the amount that will be below on the lower bound and that will be above on the upper bound. So that'll give me a total which will be 8,620 packages of candy.